It feels like we've been talking about this guy since we've been podcasting together.
Yeah.
Pretty close,
Yeah.
at least. Pretty close. It's as close to as official as he can get. We saw Andy Martino report that he can start working for the Mets. I believe October 2nd is the exact date. For those listening and thinking, because for a fan, it's not like signing in Ohtani, or it's not something that you get to see on the field on opening day no matter what, and if they hit a home run, you're convinced this is a new era and you're going to a World Series. It's behind the scenes, and we know how important that is in baseball, building up a farm system, building up everything in the organization. This is as obviously high-level a role as you can get. He is above Billy Epler. He is the president of baseball operations. He will be dealing with the personnel of this team. What is it about Stearns that has given him this insane, in a great way, reputation across all of baseball?
So to start, let's just go through his career timeline. So obviously he went to Harvard. He started as an intern with the Mets, left the Mets, started to work for the Cleveland. They were the Indians at the time, but we're going to call them the Guardians for the sake, but worked for the Guardians. And then from there, he went to the Astros to be the assistant GM under Jeff Luhnow, led to becoming the general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers at 30 years old. And that's where things are unique. It's not very often, like, those are the special type of executives. Like Theo Epstein, I believe, took over the Red Sox at 29. So the special ones are the ones that could get in at that type of age. And now we're 8 years later. He's 38 years old, joining the Mets. But overall, from what you read and what you hear, he is an excellent trader, despite the Josh Hader thing, but he was even open about that was a misjudgment by me. But a lot of people say he is basically like a master chess player, and he's ready to go head-to-head with anyone. I mean, what do they always say, Connor? Don't trade with the Rays, right? That's one of the most common phrases. And, of course, they gave up Drew Rasmussen, and who's a good arm, but that's where they got Willy Adames, who was floundering with Tampa, but he saw something. He had traded, back in the day, he traded Adam Lind to get a low minors pitcher named Freddie Peralta, who turned out to be a mid-rotation starter.
Yeah.
So between that and then he also, obviously, the Harvard education, he brings the IQ to the table. But what a lot of people say is he's the perfect blend of EQ and IQ. Like, he knows how to emotionally relate to people. He's approachable. He's someone that gives autonomy to the people below him. So while he's making the ultimate decision, it's not like a dictatorship per se. He wants to hear the perspective of everyone underneath him. And I will say, drafting, player development, that's something that Milwaukee did a pretty good job of. That's why they were in contention. But I wouldn't say they were top of class in that. But one thing that David Stearns played a huge role in was the development of the pitching lab in Milwaukee, because he got that from Houston. He played a big role in that. Obviously, we've talked about that on this show, and that's something David Stearns' priority, from what I understand and have read about him, is he wants to build around pitching, and he wants to build around power in the offense. Like, those are his priorities. And, of course, another thing you've seen from Milwaukee over the last handful of years is bullpen. Josh Hader, Devin Williams, Uribe this year. Like, it seems like they're constantly churning out relievers, which is something the Mets have struggled to do. So, overall, you're talking about a guy that I know that I've had some people say to me, really hasn't won a World Series. Well,
it's a tough bar to set.
It's very hard to win a World Series, but Milwaukee had made the playoffs 4 times in their first 47 years of existence. They made it 4 years in a row when David Stearns took over.
That speaks volumes.
That speaks volumes to what he can do, and now you're taking him into a situation where there is a very strong farm system in place, and he has financial backing of ownership. So when he was with Milwaukee, I'm sure there were some big ideas that he had that he wanted to pull off that didn't get signed off on. Here with the Mets, things like that can get signed off on.